Hello, welcome to the astrology for Wednesday, June 21st, 2023. Wednesday is Mercury Day, and the highest evolution of Mercury, Uranus, discovered much later, can also be recognized on Wednesdays. So where is Mercury? Mercury is traveling very fast right now, trying to catch up to the sun. It's moving 2 degrees a day. The days are at their longest. It's the summer solstice. Mercury is around, say, 16 to 18 degrees. Gemini, one of the signs it rules, so it's very strong and considered in rulership here. It is also the last day of Gemini season and the beginning of Cancer season. Major shift in energy as the sun travels from the 29th critical degree of Gemini into the very early degrees of Cancer. This is bringing the sun representing our soul's core expression and mission. Big shift. Gemini is ruled by Mercury, so it was very logical. It was focused on media, communication, the dissemination of knowledge. Cancer will be more focused on home and family matters, similar to when Mars was in Cancer. This sun is like a flashlight. It's a focal point. We'll be feeling very nostalgic for the past. Cancer energy is represented, answers to the moon, is represented by the crab. It has a soft interior, but a hard exterior. It puts up walls to protect itself from getting hurt, and it clings. It needs to practice releasing and letting go. We'll all be feeling this energy with the sun first coming in with summer solstice into Cancer, and then Mercury next week on the 26th. So this Mercury in Gemini is 6/11 to 6/26, just a few days left of Mercury being in rulership, and then Mercury will be joining the sun in Cancer and gaining speed on the sun. Mercury also rules Virgo, where we have Ceres. It's an asteroid representing how we nurture, usually how we were nurtured and therefore nurture others. Ceres in the 29th critical degree of Virgo. It's big Mother Earth energy, critical mother energy, nurturing. I have my Ceres at 19 degrees of Virgo, so this means it's heading to Libra as the sun shifts from Gemini into Cancer, where it'll go from answering to Mercury to answering to Venus. Shift your focus over to Uranus. Uranus is now at 21 degrees of Taurus, that third decan, throwing curveballs at our resources, money, what we love and value. I already see the number 21 twice. It's answering to Venus, the sign that rules Taurus and Libra. So we do still have a very strong Venusian focus. In Taurus, we have that north node of fate and destiny, Jupiter, expansion and wisdom. This is 1 degree, 7 degrees. They're still fused together. They're still within 10 degrees, considered a conjunction, working closely together. Fate and destiny with our luck, wisdom, expansion, healing our approach to abundance, shifting out of a chase into an attracting energy. And then further on down the sign, we have Uranus. These two will work more and more together as we progress into the year. This will be a big focus. Jupiter and Taurus for all of 2023. 2023 adding to be a 7, number representing Venus and Libra energy. Jupiter transits for 1 year. Jupiter answering to Venus for 1 year, with Venus having some major focal energies coming up. The North Node and South Node shifting signs. The North Node in Taurus, affecting what we love and value, teaching us to appreciate a more simple life, and that money can't buy happiness, will be shifting out of Taurus and into Aries, a very independent, pioneering, fight for your rights type energy. It's very self-first, and it's very ambitious. The North Node will be shifting as our collective focus. North Node of fate and destiny, while our South Node shifts out of Scorpio, focused on shared money, inheritances, ways that we misuse power or fall for manipulation ourselves. That's what we're collectively leaving behind, and shifting into lessons involving the South Node in Libra, which Libra, when imbalanced and in the shadow, can be very conflict avoidant. It can avoid communicating how it really feels or be prone to dishonesty because it's so afraid of conflict. It can also fall into patterns of people pleasing or giving to feel like it has to earn love, and codependency. Those will be major themes coming up in July as the nodes shift under the next new moon, the new moon being on the 17th, the nodes shifting the very next day on the 18th, and then not even a week later as we enter Leo season, we kick off Leo season with a Venus retrograde through the sign of Leo, a very self-focused expression of energy, not necessarily in a negative way unless it's imbalanced. Another number we saw twice, 29, heading up to be 11, 11 degrees being where the next full moon on July 3rd She'll be at 11 degrees Capricorn. Stay tuned. Sun shifting from a very logical communication, fact-gathering, curious and adventurous, sociable, childlike energy into one that's more focused on empathy and emotion over logic. It's focused on home and family matters, nostalgia in the past. We have the moon, which was in its sign of rulership in Cancer, shifting now into Leo, where it first joins Venus, then Mars, Pallas Athena, and Black Moon Lilith. Very empowering energy, especially for the divine feminine. This means that the moon and the sun, so the sun will be in Cancer answering to the moon, while the moon is in Leo, Leo answers to the sun. So that's called mutual reception. They're in cahoots, they're in partnership. So everything that's in Cancer, everything that's in Leo is of equal importance under this energy. Big focus on Venus closing in on Mars. We have Mars trine Chiron, 19 degrees Aries. We have Pallas at 21 degrees, Black Moon Lilith at 18 degrees, Venus around 14, Mars at 18. So this is a pretty tight orb, this trine, 120-degree triangle working together. So our outward focus of our energy, very creative energy, very dramatic energy, very engaging, knows how to work a crowd energy, working in harmony in the same element with our deepest soul wounds in Aries, which are usually around considering ourselves not to be worthy enough of something. So what mental blocks can we let go of there that are creating unnecessary patterns? We have an exact conjunction of the shadow feminine, the dark side of the moon, with Mars, our motivation, drive, and outward expression of energy, an exact alignment. So the two are working in tandem with the moon coming into the picture. That'll be more tomorrow. We'll wake up with moon, Mars conjunction, and then it'll progress through the day. It moves pretty quickly, about 8 degrees a day, the moon. So it'll pass these other energies as well. I have my natal moon and Mars in conjunction. It's very similar to being an Aries moon. It makes us really feisty, really ambitious, but on the shadow side, a little bit short-tempered, impatient, and short-fused. So definitely look out for rushing on your morning commute. And try not to let that energy be contagious. Just because someone else is in a rush, will go ahead and let them go. There's no need to have them stress you out by them running your tail. So Mars trine Chiron. We have Venus and Mars close together. This is bringing in a lot of passion and chemistry into connections. Venus is also coming out of that first square to Jupiter. There will be more with the Venus retrograde and another Jupiter retrograde coming after that. But we're coming out of that. It's not as intense. We have Mercury at exactly 18 degrees, forming that sextile to Mars. So Mercury sextile Mars and Chiron. So as we're healing these deep inner soul wounds around not being enough, we're able to talk about it. We're able to find clarity and communicate it, bringing some tremendous healing into the picture, focusing our energy on it. Triggers may also be coming up. If you're not consciously doing this work, those triggers might be coming up to push you in the direction of doing the work rather than avoiding it or disassociating. We have Mercury, coming into a square to Jupiter with the sun also. The sun's in the early degrees of Cancer, so it's still, this is at 27 degrees Pisces. So there's this harsh angle that as Mercury moves, it'll move another 2 degrees tomorrow, and the next day as it gets closer and closer to 27, it'll be an exact square. And this we see with Neptune. We might see flooding, we might see data breaches with Mercury ruling data and communication and information. We might see massive hacking. I'm seeing a lot of scamming on the internet. Sun square Neptune, we might be falling for illusions, delusions as well. So we also have Saturn there, and Saturn in Pisces is all about boundaries, where you give your power away, you have too much stock to the opinions of others, you create self-sabotaging patterns, or block your own creativity and intuition through things like addiction. Those are just a few examples as Saturn is answering to Neptune and will be a continued focal point in future videos. We also have Neptune sextile, so working with Pluto retrograde. So that Pluto retrograde is still at 29 degrees, that critical tumultuous degree point, another 29 degree in sextile to Neptune at the late degrees of Pisces. So working together, personal transformation, transformations to our careers, our definitions of success, working with our creativity and our intuition and our imagination, Neptune. Early on in the day, we have the moon while it's in Cancer, the late degrees of Cancer forming a trine to our creativity and intuition. We might have had some sparks of brilliance, especially in the arts earlier in the day. And then as the moon progresses into Leo, we have those squares to Jupiter and the North Node. So a couple squares we still have with the North Node of Fate and Destiny. We still have squares to Pluto as it retrogrades and Jupiter with a sextile to Saturn. Retrograde at 7 degrees Pisces. Those two working together as well. These two working together as well. And squares involving the North Node and Jupiter and what's going on in Leo. These shift away from Jupiter and more into squares with Uranus as these placements, Venus, what we love and value, Mars, our motivation and drive, outward expression of energy, Pallas Athena, our creative intelligence. Mine is at 22 degrees, so I think tomorrow might be the day that it starts, and I get that for a few days, that Pallas Athena return, where we're creatively intelligent. And Black Moon Lilith, that is the shadow side of the feminine, where we're needing empowerment. So all of this very empowering energy for the divine feminine as we approach. We also have, don't forget, the sun square Jupiter is creating all this like fog, and I don't know if anyone else felt like they were in like a multi-day hangover as we came out of that new moon, but that's been how the energy, unfortunately, that new moon having an exact sun 26, 27 degrees square to Pluto, square to Neptune, 27 degrees of Pisces, a really hazy fog, and it set the tone for our summer solstice and our next month.